What's going on, Patriot fans? Welcome back to the PrimeTime Patriots podcast. I'm your host, Jake Mott, reviewing a pretty crappy week one for the New England Patriots. They fall 20-7 to the Miami Dolphins. Not what the Patriots were looking for to get their season started. It's a game I had them losing. I thought they were a little outmatched, but not as much as they looked on Sunday. A lot of stuff to get into, so we'll hop right into it. I got the good, the bad, and the ugly coming right at you guys. Here we go. Let's get right into it. Okay, so first off, the good. The first good thing is actually the first drive. First offensive drive for the Patriots. They get the opening kickoff, and they look pretty good, both on the ground and through the air. They're moving the ball well. Didn't really see any of those awful zone run looks that we saw in the preseason. Everything looked pretty in tune. Mac was hitting his receivers. They're moving the ball down the field. He threw it to a bunch of different guys as well, in typical Patriot fashion, spreading the ball around. And then it all just comes crashing down with that pass to the end zone to Devontae Parker. We'll get into it a little bit more when we get into the bad and the ugly, that play specifically, but after that, it was kind of just all downhill for the Patriots. Defensively, after that, they let a big drive up, let up 3 points, then they're down 3-0. And then just that monster sack in which Mac Jones gets sacked, fumbles the ball, and it's a scoop six, and then it's 10-0. Dolphins never looked back after that. So anyways, first good thing, that first drive. Second good thing to take away, I really don't think the defense played too bad, especially your young corners, Marcus and Jack Jones, the two new rookies. I thought all things considered, they played pretty well. You went into halftime down 17-0. That doesn't seem great on paper. But the biggest play was that 4th and 7 right before the half. There's about 25 seconds left, and the Dolphins were right around their own 35 or their own 40 or so, right on the fringe of field goal range, so they decided to go for it on that 4th and 7. That's when they hit Jalen Waddle for the touchdown. But if you get rid of that play, obviously if you get rid of that play, but if you just take that one play out, everything else was pretty good. Especially that second half for this Patriots defense. They really had a good coaching session in there at halftime. They must have, at least on the defensive side of the ball. And things were really cleaned up. Tyreek Hill was not the same player in the second half that he was in the first. In the first, it was ridiculous. Tyreek Hill was catching anything thrown near him. He was making all sorts of plays. He had a great play against, it was either Marcus, I believe it was Jack Jones, actually, the young corner, where it looks like Jack Jones is in a great position to grab that interception. And then Tyreek Hill just makes the veteran move, plays the ball better in the air, and ends up finishing with the catch on that play. But really in that second half, the Patriots defense really did step up. Things looked a lot better. They only let up 3 the entire second half. You got to put up more than 20 points if you're the Patriots offense in this game. You had a bunch of opportunities. But yeah, the defense didn't look too bad, all things considered. I think part of that goes into the fact that Tua isn't a great quarterback, but you still let him throw for 270. So a little bit give and take. I think the defense did what they had to do to win this game, especially when you consider they only let up 13 points. 6 or 7 of those points were from the sack and fumble by the Patriots offense. So really not an awful day for that defense, especially when you consider how young that secondary is. Did a pretty decent job, all things considered. And the third and final good thing, it's really not a good thing, as we'll get into, but Jonnu Smith kind of existed. I guess that's nice. We're at a point where a 3-catch, 33-yard game and one play where Jonnu Smith looks pretty hyped up and excited. That is one of the best games that Jonnu Smith has had here as a Patriot. It's pretty sad considering you give the guy like 4 years, however many million. And that's what we consider a good game, but it's good to see at least early. Last year, Jonnu Smith was non-existent. He was a guy a lot of people were talking about trading along with Nelson Aguilar, a guy you're just not really getting the same bang for your buck that you were hoping to get. But you actually saw some contribution from Jonnu Smith here. They got him the ball, and they got him the ball in some good ways. I feel like last year they didn't know how to use him, and I'm not saying they do this year, but I think the 3 touches that he had in this game and the one miss from Mack where he was trying to loft it over. I think he looked pretty good. I think they got him the ball in the right situations and they let him make plays with his feet after the catch. But let's move forward. Enough of the good. Let's move on to the bad here. So the first bad is going to be Mac Jones. I think separate from the line troubles, which we will get into, that's coming up in the ugly segment. Not sure anybody's surprised by that one. But Mac himself really didn't look that great. Didn't look much like that higher level of Mac that we saw last year, especially in the middle section of last year. Mac really looking super accurate with the ball, super decisive, had a great pre-snap offense. That wasn't the case. Sunday, excuse me, he was really just looked a second off. He was missing throws that he usually nails. I just mentioned the one to Jonnu. The throw to Devontae Parker on the first drive. I thought that was a pretty badly underthrown ball. I think Devontae Parker could have played it well, and played it better at least, and we'll get into that in a sec. But I think the majority of that play is on Mac Jones. A lot of weird plays that you just wouldn't expect to see from Mac. He didn't do a great job. You can't pin this one totally on him either, but I think he missed a lot of pre-snap blitz pickups. Usually the quarterback will be able to identify some blitzing defenders, let his line know, get everybody alert so that he has some more protection. There was a lot of free looks, and a lot of that goes on the line, admittedly. But a good amount of that goes on Mac Jones as well, really taking his time pre-snap, deciphering who's coming, where the pressure's going to be coming from. If you're just getting hit blindsided all the time, I mean, some of that has to go on you. You got to have that sort of sense in the pocket. And that's kind of concerning because that's something we saw from him last year. He had a really great pocket presence, moved around well in the pocket, and he just looked a step behind today. So not a great day for Mac Jones. Not bad enough for me to say ugly. I don't think he was the issue of your offense, but he definitely didn't help things out. So that's not great to see. Second bad thing, and I was real close to putting this one in ugly, but I think we'll keep it in bad for now because I think there's a couple of factors that go into it, but that's going to be Devontae Parker. So the reason I don't think it's ugly, anyways, 1 catch, 9 yards, that's it for Devontae Parker. That's all we got from week 1. This is the guy who's supposed to be your new X receiver. Clearly, it's not even really close in terms of the other wide receivers on your roster, the talent that Devontae Parker brings. And he gave you 1 catch, 9 yards. The reason I don't think it's ugly, this was his team for his entire career, and he played a lot with this secondary. These guys know how to cover him. So the longer you play against a particular matchup with another athlete, the defensive guy is going to get an advantage as that goes on. He's going to learn your moves. He's going to learn the things that you like to do, and he's going to learn how to disrupt those things. So there's a case to be made that, of course, they're going to cover Devontae Parker pretty well and pretty much take him out of the game as much as you can. They really know all his tendencies. So he gets a little break there. But then that one in the end zone, while it was definitely a missed pass interference, a lot of talk there in New England about that missed pass interference call that really started the downfall that was Sunday. I think Devontae Parker, you still got to go and make some sort of play on that ball. I don't think this corner, who's a great corner, top corner in the league, no doubt, but I don't think he should be manhandling you to where you can't even get a single hand up there to do anything, make any sort of play on the ball. And if the argument is, oh, he's trying to sell the pass interference, well, that's week 2. I'd rather see my ex-receiver go up there week 1 on a great first drive, go up and try to make a big effort play on that ball. If there's a missed pass interference, but he's going up there and trying to make a big athletic play, I can live with that. It's going to be 2nd or 3rd down, probably get 3 at least out of this drive. Instead, there's absolutely no play whatsoever on the ball by Devontae Parker, which, again, not a great ball from Mac Jones. But this is your specialty, Devontae Parker. Like, that's what you do. You got to be able to go up there and at least make a play on the ball, make that thing incomplete at the very least, but not great. And then to not get another reception, or to only get 1 more reception, part of that goes in the play calling too. That's why I wouldn't necessarily say ugly. I don't think it's totally Devontae Parker's fault. that he only got that one reception. But if you're Matt Patricia or one of these horrendous offensive coaches that we have rant incoming in a few minutes here, you got to drop some plays here to get the ball into this guy's hands. It's not like he had 3 catches for 15 yards, because then at least you could argue, all right, they're trying to get the ball in his hands. The defense is just locking him up after the catch, all this. That wasn't the case. They got him the ball once for 9 yards, and it's a totally forgettable play that just went in and out if you're watching the game. It wasn't a big third down. It wasn't anything like that. It was just one insignificant catch. So when that's your new X receiver and that's what he's doing, hard to say that's anything but bad. So that's going to wrap up the bad section. And now let's move on to the ugly. I kept it short. I guess you could go pretty long with the uglies here in this game for the Patriots. But the clear and obvious first one is the offensive line. What I love about both of these uglies that you'll see is that they're totally avoidable, and it's ridiculous. I don't know if they're avoidable now, but they were completely avoidable and super easily diagnosable from the beginning. Like, I don't know what the Patriots or Bill Belichick expected when doing these moves. It just seems like the logical thing that would happen. But first and foremost, the line was atrocious. It doesn't matter if it was running the ball. It doesn't matter if it was passing the ball. The line was missing assignments on every play. They were missing this. It was really, really bad. And it's tough to see, because I try to explain to people that on an individual basis, each one of these linemen starting for the Patriots are very good linemen. And even Cole Strange, the rookie, you can't put too much on him. I don't think he looked any worse or better than anybody else on the Patriots line this week. It's just ridiculous. And what I mean by saying when it's completely avoidable and you should have seen this coming, you have Matt Patricia, who's been a defensive coach his entire life, and now he's just going to coach your offensive line. Not only coach your offensive line in a new system from what they did last year. A system where they started really bad and improved and got pretty decent by the end of the year. They were able to move the ball, especially on the ground, to just totally scrap all that and give it over to a guy who, he's a smart guy, Matt Patricia, he's smart. He'll figure it out. It's like, that's not how it works. If I was a quarterback and then you're going to say, go teach these linebackers because you got that perspective. You're a smart guy. You'll figure it out. That's not how it works. You'd never take the infielders coach for baseball and tell him, you're a great infielders coach. I love how you've coached up our guys. You get everything out of them. How about you coach our pitchers? It doesn't make any sense. I don't know why the Patriots would expect something like this to work. I guess they just have that much faith in their guys because it's so concerning. I'm trying not to turn it into a just full-out rant here, but you have a lot of talent on this line, and you should have the ability to do a lot of things. And to watch them just really intentionally tank this, like, how else do you say putting a defensive coach who's never coached offense, coaching your offensive line in a new system, isn't setting yourself up for failure? You get what you get, and that's what happened on Sunday. Mac Jones already has his back messed up. Hopefully it's not a serious injury. You're getting your quarterback killed out there. It's no surprise they limited the amount of snaps he took in the preseason behind this line. They can't protect him. You can't protect your new quarterback. You're running a whole new offense from the one he succeeded with by the end of last year. By the end of last year, Mac Jones was playing comfortable enough in your offense that he got his way to the Pro Bowl. He had you at a point in the middle of the season where people were talking about the Patriots as one of, if not the best team in the AFC. And you scrap all that and you just give him this pile of shit coaching. It's really, I don't know what you expect. But we'll try to wrap it into the next thing. I guess this is also part of the coaching. I guess the ugliness here is just the offensive coaching, which we shouldn't be surprised. But the second big thing to take away here from the ugly, where is Kendrick Bourne the entire game? And, like, it's just mind-numbing. So, like, again, here's the situation. Your team, you decided to run a new offense with your team that ran a pretty good offense last year. You just scored 0 points in the first half. No points with this new system. You're staring at the most, I guess besides Jacoby Myers, a guy that has the best chemistry and had the best on-field production and playmaking ability on your offense last year, and you're just sitting and watching him on the bench and just not putting him in. Just, well, we'll figure it out. Oh, new system. What did Kendrick Bourne do? Like, was it something in the preseason? Was it some kind of practice thing? Like, and if that's the case, that's over. Push come to shove now. I mean, you got to win these football games. You got to at least try. How are you going to let one of your best athletes at the wide receiver position just sit and watch Devontae Parker catch one pass for 9 yards? Or Jonnu Smith have a phenomenal game by catching 3 balls for 30 yards? Like, how do you let that guy sit on the side? And then he comes in the fourth quarter and catches a 41-yard pass. It's mind-numbing. If Kendrick Bourne isn't on the field in the first quarter next week, I have zero faith. I already have next to no faith in the offensive coaching of the Patriots right now. If Kendrick Bourne isn't on the field for 75 to 80% of the snaps next week, then it's all gone. Like, I'm trying to think how to wrap this up without getting too comical and too much of just a rant here. But it was bad. It turned. I might have to change up the format because ending on all this ugliness is just not going to be good every week. But hopefully we turn out how to figure this thing around. It's going to take a lot. It's really going to take a lot. I think it starts with, I think you got to go back to what you started with, really, honestly. I think you got to go back to last year, and you got to go back to the plays and the players that worked for you offensively. And if you want to start incorporating new things, you got to do it slowly. This team isn't ready, and it's so weird, too, to see it work so well in the first drive, like we said right at the beginning, and then for things to get so weird towards the end there. Yeah, there's really not much more to say than that. Very disappointing loss week 1 for the Patriots. Thought it was going to be a lot closer than it was. And you really got next to nothing from your offense. And you just hope your quarterback's okay and you can move on to what is now an even more important game, week 2 against the Steelers. So we will be back on the PrimeTime Patriots podcast either Saturday or Friday, sometime right before that game on Sunday, to talk more about the Steelers. Steelers had an impressive, maybe the best win of week 1, beating the AFC defending champion Cincinnati Bengals in overtime with a last-second field goal. So a lot to get into there. Get to talk more about the Steelers, Coach Tomlin, and those 2 quarterbacks over there. Mitch Trubisky proved me wrong, had a good day. So we'll talk about that next time we see you on the Patriots Primetime Podcast, or Primetime Patriots Podcast. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. Share this if you can. Leave a like, subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. So thanks so much, guys. We'll see you again soon. Go Pats.